Hey, this is Christina. So this is my video about week 2 of the diet program. So let me review with you again what I'm doing, and I want to remove that diet program or even weight loss. This is a program about developing a better relationship with your body and with the food that you eat so that your body is naturally thin and healthy, and whatever that means for you. As I explained in the first video, for quite a long period of my life, I was naturally thin. I had no weight issues. I was a runner, but I actually was thin before I started running. I started running because I needed to expel some energy, and I needed to help my dog get some exercise. So I started to run for him, and it worked. My weight was my weight. I just was naturally thin. And so I wanted, and this happened multiple times in my life. So there's been times when it just seemed like when I was happy and confident and feeling good, I would get naturally thin. And when I was stressed or unhappy, I wasn't thin. And of course I've attributed this multiple times to a lot of things that happened in my childhood. And so let me talk about quickly, before I get too far, how I do this so that it comes clear. Again, every day I release my weight, my body, and my issues with food to God. And every day I receive messages back about things that may be causing my weight issues or my issues with food. And I listen intently and work hard at being open and receptive to these messages. And I, try to give myself 10 to 15 minutes every day to work on this. I do it twice a day. When I first wake up in the morning, I say, I'm grateful for this day, God. I'm grateful for this food I'm going to receive today. And I'm grateful for your guidance on how I'm going to eat to be healthy and naturally thin. And this is naturally thin for me. So I do that, and then every night I say, God, there were points in the day that didn't feel great. I felt like maybe I ate something I shouldn't. I feel some old things coming back, and I give those to you, and I wait for answers back. And the answers do come. They come. But I make sure that I'm doing this every day. And when messages come clear, I make sure that I journal them and write about them, and so that I can bring them back when I need to and release those as well. And I can get an understanding of the patterns, because it's very clear when you have issues around food that there's patterns that happen based on your history with food. So like I told you in the first video, I do know of a lot of food issues I have from my childhood. Thin was a very big deal for us. Being thin was important, and people didn't think much if you starved yourself, if you were trying to be thin in the process. The thinner you were, the more beautiful you were. The thinner you were, the better you looked in clothes. The less you ate, the better you were, because that meant you were going to be thin. And it was a message that went over and over again, to the point that, that's, even as a little girl, it was constantly relayed to me by people in the media, by my parents, and even by friends, even by my brother. So, and I don't believe anybody meant any harm. It was just the messages out there. You need to be thin. And we see this today. You'll see girls dying to be thin. So as I grew older and more, the first thing I did was start eating things that I was forbidden to eat as a child. It was almost like this rebellion, And of course I put on some weight. Then later I became really happy with who I was, and I was naturally thin. Then I got into a bad marriage, and I started to eat to cover up how unhappy I was in this marriage. And then I got a divorce years later, got him out of my life. I was suddenly happy again, and I was naturally thin. And then I met this husband, and it's not that I'm not happy, I'm very happy. So, but I gained weight and I've had trouble losing it. And it's not a metabolic disorder. It's just whatever this disorder I have with my relationships and food and people. And so this is what I've been working on. How do I figure this all out? All these fine little details of why I put on weight. Why did I put on weight again when I'm actually happy? I'm very happy. I have a great husband. I have wonderful kids, a beautiful home. There's no reason why I should be putting on weight or eating wrong or doing anything, because I am actually as happy as I've ever been in my life. And with my history, when I'm happy, I lose weight. So what's the difference here? What's the problem? And this is what I've been working on. This is what I've been releasing. And I can tell you, this I think is such ingrained in me that it's not going to be fast. It's not going to be. And I haven't, I've been working on releasing my weight, and I have lost some weight, but it hasn't been this dramatic, like, oh my gosh, you've gotten so thin, I can't believe it. Just lost some. So, but I feel like the issues I have with food aren't dissolving all the way. So I'm sure this will be a full 12 weeks that it's going to take. I hope not. But one thing that came clear this week, some of the messages I truly, that I felt strong about, that kept coming back around this from God, the messages I got, were that I have so much guilt around food. I have so much guilt on everything that I eat. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, I talked about last week, I know that one of the messages I got back was often I use my weight as a way to test relationships. And I'm sure that, I wanted to test whether my husband really loved me or not, to see if, and that's not conscious, it's a unconscious thing. Is he going to love me even if I'm not the thin woman that he met? And he has. So, but I've developed this horrible guilt with food. And that's what came across this week. The other one, I dissolved, I believe, last week. But this one, this guilt isn't dissolving. This one is so strong within me. And it goes in so many places. My guilt around food it's not just, oh, I feel guilty when I eat. I feel guilty when I look. I feel guilty when I smell. I feel guilty. I mean, I can feel guilty about eating a salad. I can feel guilty about eating anything. And I didn't know how bad this was until I started doing this releasing, that this guilt I have around food is ingrained in such a deep place in my mind. I am not able to be normal with food. I'm not able to eat normal with food. And why was it possible when I was happy? Well, I don't know. I mean, but it definitely, the older I get, the more I realize this horrible, horrible guilt I have around it. And maybe it is because I'm in a relationship now, that when you're single and you're doing what you want, you can eat any way you want, it doesn't matter. But when you're in a relationship, your eating is definitely having to match your partners a little bit. And my husband can definitely, he eats different than I do. He eats a lot more than I do. And he's a feeder. He's the kind of person who always wants to feed me. I mean, we'll share a burrito and he's like, have the rest. Really? Because I'm the one who doesn't need it and you're the one who wants to eat it. I'm not sure what that's about. Anyway, I'm venting and going off in weird places. Anyway, back to this guilt. I realize how bad this thing is I have with guilt. It's horrible. And I've been working on releasing this guilt, and I've had to actually do it as it comes up in small pieces. So I will eat something and I will recognize that I feel guilty with it. And so I will instantly go that moment and say, I release what I just ate. I release this guilt and this piece of food, and I'm letting you have it, because I know I have a problem with guilt. And I tell you what, the first couple days this week, when it came clear, when the message was that I have guilt around food, then I found myself releasing constantly. I mean, I felt like I was releasing everything that I ate. But after a couple days, I found it wasn't as necessary. It's still there, but it wasn't as necessary. I also found that I stopped my emotional eating, because I was emotionally eating. I was, it's a habit. When I started to release it, I found I wasn't as hungry. I wasn't eating due to my emotions. I was eating due to hunger. I was eating because I needed something at that time. But I wasn't eating because I was sad or scared or emotional. And that was huge. There was times when surprising for me, I would, my husband would say, "Do you want some?" And I'm not hungry, thank you. And it's a strange feeling for me. I'm probably gonna have to release this now because I'm not used to eating and not feeling guilty. So I'll release that now. What? Anyway, but so just to reiterate what's happening, this is week 2, and I've definitely had some huge breakthroughs. I have found some great changes. I can say my clothes fit a little looser. I don't get on the scale. I don't know what I weigh. All I know is that, I put on an outfit and it was definitely a little bit bigger. So that's exciting. I don't think this is like a massive weight loss, but I can say I feel so much better. I feel like I am definitely seeing this change in myself and my relationship and how I feel around my eating and my food. And this releasing through weight loss is phenomenal. It's great. And again, I'm just doing this. I'm doing this actually with you. So I'm not putting something out there that, I'm selling anything. This is just something I'm doing. And I hope that other people are trying this and finding great success like me. Maybe not rambling on as much as I do, but it really is great. If you're give this stuff away and you're open to the messages and you're open to what you need to change, you're gonna see great success. And you're gonna not just see it, but you'll feel it. It's like something's been lifted off of you. Like you've been carrying this burden around and suddenly you don't have to carry it. It's a little bit lighter than it used to be. So anyway, please let me know how you're doing, and if you have some questions or you need a little support, just write it in the comments and I will get back to you. Again, happy weight loss this week, and I'll see you next week on this.